We may not be masters of illusion like Penn and Teller here at Westside. What you see is what you get. And I'm sorry to say, after seeing Dumbo last night, that there is no adorable baby elephant about to fly circles in this sanctuary. Nor do we pull off impossible Houdini-like escapes, unless you count members here who plan to soon escape the heat of Texas for Boston, Hawaii, and Taiwan. But I think we do resemble Harry Potter and Friends, as Leanne Maxwell suggested in our stewardship video. Like those magicians in training at Hogwarts, Westside is full of folks who maybe didn't quite fit in elsewhere. And we have come together to help each other find our strengths and to use them for the good of all people, both wizards and muggles. Do we have any science lovers here besides the kids? Yes, okay. Well, kids do. I often marvel at what I learn from science. Sometimes it seems downright magical. Over spring break, my family visited Dinosaur Valley State Park near Glen Rose. The tracks of ancient dinosaurs like the sauropod and theropod have been preserved there for 113 million years. It felt uncanny, stepping inside the footprints of giant reptiles from the Cretaceous period. British physicist Sir Arthur Eddington explained how the universe works this way. Something unknown is doing we don't know what. Far from being merely factual, science is out and out magical if you dig down a bit. Something unknown is doing we don't know what. We humans go to great lengths to penetrate the mysteries of the universe, like spending a decade of unprecedented effort to land a man on the moon. Watching the Apollo 11 documentary in the theater recently, I was struck by the parallels between the audacious journey of Apollo 11 and the daring adventure of this church. The film begins with images of mission control, the waiting audiences, and the carefully prepared launch pad. After many years of preparation and diligent safety checks by one earphone-clad person after another, the mission leader utters the magic words, "We are go." Humanity is ready to not only make it to the moon and back, but to walk on its silvery surface. This congregation said words like this almost 3 years ago. We are go. It came in the form of an overwhelming vote to part ways with Angel Montessori in this building. Westside's members at that time wanted to move toward the long-held vision of serving more people and increasing this church's impact in the wider community. As Chandra Williams put it, Westside is after the magic of transformation, doing something amazing. This was just before I began serving this congregation, that vote, so I didn't get to see your faces in that moment. But I have heard your voices and watched your faces in the 2 years between that visionary vote and the time 9 months ago when Angel Montessori went from our tenant to our neighbor. This is like the stage the astronauts were in at the beginning of their amazing journey as they approached the launch pad. Their faces glowed, confident with an almost mischievous glint, as one commentator put it. I saw that same mischievous glint in many faces here as we raised major funds for our building renewal and as we transformed our facility this year. Wasn't it exhilarating? The drive to get to the moon went far beyond the astronauts whose faces and voices riveted the nation. President John F. Kennedy declared in 1962, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard." This church carries that same spirit. You have the ambition to do something hard, to create new structures and shift the culture of this congregation so that we can welcome in many more of the people who are hungry for the magic that happens here. Like the story of Apollo 11, this story of Westside represents not only a magnitude of vision, but also a plethora of people who are working in coordination, each with their own role in the drama, to realize the dream. For Apollo 11, it took a decade to go from dream to reality. Westside's dream of serving more people can be traced back a long time, too. It was there when this church faced a fire in its earlier storefront location. Instead of withering away after the fire, Westside grew into its vision and found this building as its new home, a place that would have room for many more people. This church's audacious dream goes back even further to its very beginnings. One of the motivating impulses for the folks who went westward from First Jefferson UU and started a new church was this: to be able to serve more people in the Fort Worth area and bring the values of liberal religion into the heart of this city. Watching Westside blossom this past year reminded me several times of the movie Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner as an Iowa farmer. Having been born and raised in Iowa, this movie is close to my heart. He longed to put a baseball diamond in his cornfields. He came to believe what a dream figure told him: if you build it, they will come. He waited for baseball legends, or at least local baseball enthusiasts, to show up. It was an improbable dream, but it came true. And Westside's dream is coming true too. This year, as we have gotten this building dedicated fully to our mission, we have filled it with programs and people as quickly as spring wildflowers spread over the hillsides of Texas. It's a good problem to have, having more programs than we know where to put in our building on a Sunday morning. If you build it, they will come. It's not just a dream or a magic wish. We created more space, and they are coming. We saw more new members join at the end of a membership class last month than we have ever had join at one time before. We've got magic to do, just for you. We've got so many great things planned. We've got parts to perform, hearts to warm. A better church is taking form, but we're gonna need your helping hand. Those are the chorus words from one of the songs in our special stewardship musical, Corner of the Sky. Call it a sneak peek. You can get in on the world premiere of this homemade musical, written by our resident funny man, Jeff Rodriguez, and performed by many talented Westsiders. That's April 13th, sure to be a magical night. A better church is taking form, but we're gonna need your helping hand. Just as the Apollo 11 mission required the time, talent, and taxpayer treasure of huge numbers of people, before Neil Armstrong could take one giant leap for mankind on the moon, Westside will need the sustained commitment of many, many people in order to complete the ambitious journey we have set our sights on. Thankfully, funding our mission is not rocket science. It's pretty straightforward. Every person and every pledge counts. If you haven't pledged before, but you value this place, please pledge this year. You don't have to be a member. If that's not for you or you aren't ready yet, but you want to get behind our mission and vision, you can still pledge. If you are already pledging to Westside, please consider how much you can increase your pledge. We've been working for a couple of years already toward the goal of closing the gap from the rental income we knew we'd be losing when we reclaimed our whole building for our mission. We took a big leap last year toward that end. We do still have significant funds available from the gift Betty Sanders gave us several years ago to help us make this transition, and it's lasting longer than we initially thought it might. But we need to continue weaning ourselves off of that special one-time resource. We also aim to increase the hours of our church administrator from our current 15 hours a week to half-time with benefits. We discussed this in detail at the special congregational meeting on March 3rd. The board of directors was glad to hear strong support from those attending for making this shift, which will allow volunteers to spend more time on the work of the church and less time on the paperwork of the church. It will help us have the staff we need to carry out our mission. 49 out of 50 UU churches our size already have at least a half-time administrator. The board is waiting to make a final decision about the increase in hours for this position until we see how we are doing in the pledge campaign later this spring. If everyone increases their pledge by 3%, we will be able to cover taking our church administrator to a half-time position with greater focus, capabilities, and longevity. If everyone increases their pledge by 6%, we will achieve an increase in pledge income of $15,000, which we would like to see happen this year toward our being fully self-sustaining. One anonymous Westsider was moved recently to offer a major investment in the church to help us along. For every dollar you increase your pledge, another dollar will go to the church right now, up to $15,000 total. So we can really leverage your increased pledge toward our vision. Isn't that amazing? We heard about the wise woman's stone in our reading. When I came across that story, it made me think of this generous anonymous gift, which can match your pledge increases. The Westsider who donated is a bit like that wise woman, blessed with a great treasure and ready to give it away to help someone else who needs it. Now, maybe some of us here are more like the other traveler who saw the stone and recognized that it could help him meet his needs. He wanted the security that the stone represented, and he was so glad when the wise woman gave it to him. Many people have come here to Westside and found that this community meets important needs. It could almost make one want to hoard the goodness. But in the story, the traveler came to realize that the magic wasn't in the stone itself. It was in the woman's generosity. He wanted to catch that spirit of generosity. That's why he went back and returned the stone to her, asking instead to know the secret of her magical generosity. We can all do that too, by not hoarding what we have found here, but practicing the magic of generosity. Now, if you happen to be a person who can't increase your pledge, please hear me when I say that whatever you can do is appreciated. Stewardship includes giving your time, your talent, and your treasure, and we all have those in different kinds and measures. You may find it helpful to review the Fair Share Giving Guide our Stewardship Committee provides, which takes into account different income levels and life circumstances. This is not a faith or a church built on guilt. This is not a faith or a church built on shame. Whatever amount you pledge, whether it is large or small compared to someone else, is irrelevant. What matters is that it is generous for you, and that is a source of genuine joy for you to be part of the magic here. If you are a person or a family who can increase your pledge, I encourage you to consider how much of an increase is a doable stretch for you. Since some people won't be able to make an increase, we'll need others to increase by more than 6%. So if you can do even more, such as 10%, please do. It will get us to our own moon landing level vision that much faster. What we're working with here at Westside is big magic. That's what Elizabeth Gilbert calls it in her book, Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear. She's speaking to writers and artists of all kinds, but this wisdom relates to a community like Westside too, where the creative living is a collective endeavor. Gilbert observes that when we are open and relaxed, rather than driven by fear, That's when we can receive inspiration. That's when we can say yes to working with a big idea. And then magic can slip through, as she puts it. Inspiration works with us, it seems, Gilbert writes, because inspiration likes working with us. Because human beings are possessed of something special, something extra, something unnecessarily rich, something that the novelist Marilynne Robinson calls an overabundance that is magical. Gilbert perceives of ideas as floating out there in the universe, searching and sensing for the right host or partner to bring them to life. The idea that has come to Westside, that is its very origin story, is touching more lives. As numerous people have testified in our stewardship campaign, we want to make this community available to more people who need it. And we feel called, as Chuck Flotman put it, to do something special as a church, to change something that might seem difficult or hard in the wider community by getting involved. According to Elizabeth Gilbert's understanding of the world, Westside's big magic is partnering with that vision to manifest it. It has chosen us. And we are quite capable. Gilbert writes, "You have treasures hidden within you, extraordinary treasures. And bringing those treasures to light takes work and faith and focus and courage and hours of devotion. And the clock is ticking and the world is spinning, and we simply do not have time anymore to think small." Now, she acknowledges that going for it, partnering with the big idea or the grand vision that has come to us, doesn't mean we have parted with fear. But if you can't learn to travel comfortably alongside your fear, she says, then you'll never be able to go anywhere interesting or do anything interesting. Gilbert warns against the tired stereotype of the suffering artist. Instead, she encourages those who want to live a creative life to find joy in the act of cooperating with creativity. It may be a lot of work to bring something new to life, but it should also be fun. Come to our musical on April 13th, and I guarantee you will have fun. The creative process can be full of joy. There, McCaffrey spoke of the joy of fellowship that is already part of the magic here. To some people who have made their way to Westside, when they were still searching, finding a community like this one might have seemed about as likely as being struck by lightning. Storyteller Kevin Kling knows something about the improbable. Every male in his family has literally been struck by lightning. Kling explains that there's a physiological reason for this. My brother and I, in shop class in junior high, he says, they had this test where they put a wire in it, and it measured your conductivity, the amount of moisture in your skin. And my brother and I are the two to put the needle in the red. And so we must have a lot of something. His family takes pride in being conductors of electricity. His mom got in on the lightning action one year, in her case through the TV. Yeah, Kling says, she called me up and said, "I knew it wasn't just from your father's side." This is a family of people who attract this sort of energy, a family of conductors. I think this church is like that too. We are a community of conductors, letting powerful forces work through us. Not lightning or electricity, although we did okay with the energy stick this time, but the energy of compassion, the energy of justice. As Diane Nixon put it, when people see that this is what we're about, it will attract them to come and be part of it. Now, I love that science can take forces that once seemed mysterious to humans, like evolution or electric energy, and come to explain how it works. The science of spiritual connectivity may not be explained scientifically yet, but this force is just as real as electricity or magnetism or gravity. Kevin Kling points out that lightning does look for the easiest path to Earth. And so as it's coming down, if you're the easiest path, it will take you. I believe that's true of this spiritual force of connectivity, justice, and compassion, too. This energy that we use as good wizards taking on the forces of evil, to quote Christina Sellers. This energy will find the easiest path down into human community. Westside is not just a conductor. We are making this place a lightning rod, an easy path for this special kind of magic to flow through. Now take a closer look at the energy stick we played with earlier. Does it remind you of anything? It looks like the magic wand on our stewardship logo, with the two bands at the end that allow the energy to flow through the human conductors here. Here's the magic connection, the magic formula as I have come to understand it. Take a collection of people like those here, connect them to each other with friendship and meaning-making and aspirations to serve the wider community. What do you get? A conductor of magic. A lightning rod for compassion, justice, and equality here in North Texas. It will take all of us who are part of this collective to be connected and conduct the magic that is possible here. Our connectedness comes in part through sharing of ourselves and our gifts with a generous heart, the magic that the wise woman with the stone embodied. I invite you, with joy, to join in with your time, your talent, and your treasure through your pledge. Because Westsiders, we've got magic to do. Let's be a lightning rod for the forces of compassion and justice right here at 901 Page Avenue. May it be so. Let the people say amen.
Amen.